It is 1 o'clock. Good afternoon from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Jackson Williams. The NFL owners' meetings continue this week in Orlando. We have some more rule changes coming to fruition. The NFL trade deadline has been moved back a week and will now be after week 9 of the regular season. And the NFL has approved a new hybrid kickoff model similar to the one that originated last year in the XFL. The Preds back in action tonight against the Las Vegas Golden Knights at Bridgestone Arena. The Preds looking to continue their franchise record point streak to 18 games. Puck drop for that one is at 7 p.m. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Tuesday edition of Blaine and Mickey. Lots to get to today. Lots of football stuff. But I will ask you, Bananas, as we start the show, Brian Callahan is speaking right now live on the NFL Network. You want to take a little bit of this?
We can. I've got it ready.
Let's do it. Let's check in with Brian Callahan, speaking live right now at the NFL owners' meetings with the NFL Network. Let's hear what the Titans head coach has got to say.
Physical talent to play in the league, and so that mindset going to separate them.
Kind of a two-part thing here, and like we said, you guys did a bunch in free agency. Cushenberry, I think, was obviously top player at his position in free agency. Getting to where you guys are now with the offensive line, making improvements in free agency, do you still view this as a need? What do you think of how you've done to kind of solidify the line?
I think we've had a good start. I think we have to put Lloyd in there in the center position, anchor in the interior of the line. Obviously, he's big and he's got length and he's strong. He's one of the better pass protecting centers in the league. A chance to get him going onto a second contract was a huge leadership point for the line. You get that center position right, I think you can do a lot of really good things. Obviously, you got Peter Skoronski as a first-round pick last year, and then there's going to be some opportunities to add more players as the draft comes along, and it's kind of a constant state of building at that point. I'm fortunate that I have a father that's an excellent offensive line coach.
Well, I was going to get to that.
I was heard of that guy.
He said Cushenberry. I said, that's where I'm going with my next question.
Yeah.
What is it like to be your dad's boss? You finally get to say some things?
Yeah. It's funny because I've had that question a couple of times, and him and I have a great relationship. We work really well together, and it's such a huge asset for me to have him on the staff just because of his experiences. He's been a head coach in college in the NFL. He's been coaching for 45 plus years. I mean, he's seen it all, and so it's a huge advantage to me to have someone like him to lean on, and it just helps that he's my dad too, because I get the real version of whatever I ask him, and that's what I hope for. And that's a good thing. There's nothing that I'm going to do to tell him how to do his job. He's as good as they come at it, and so that part's been pretty easy. It's been a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed being able to work with my dad. There's a lot of lost time over the coaching career and hours that he's put in and time that we've spent away from each other. It's pretty cool to kind of at this point in our careers be back together and be able to do it together. It's really awesome.
Last thing real quick, Brian, before we let you go. Here and all your press conferences, you're very level, you're very steady. We've got all these clips of you in the coach's booth going nuts after touchdowns. Are we going to see that same passion on the sidelines? How jacked up are you for September?
I pride myself on my demeanor to be pretty consistent, but those moments are usually in big moments, big wins. It's an emotional game, and I certainly have all of those emotions as well. And you work so hard to be in position to celebrate those achievements, whether you're winning on the last-second field goal or you're going to Kansas City and winning an AFC championship. Those are huge moments, and there's a lot of emotion involved because there's a lot of work involved. You will see plenty of that for me. I tend to be pretty mild-mannered, but there's definitely moments where I'm not, and I'm not really afraid to let it out either. They just always put that little camera in the box, and I forget it's there sometimes.
Yeah, except when you're looking directly into it. We have those clips. 1 year from now, you're going to come back. We'll have a bunch of highlights of the Titans making big plays. Brian, thanks a lot for the time, man. Best of luck.
You got it. Thanks for having me.
There you go, a little bonus Brian Callahan from the NFL owners meetings. I know Jimmy White has been following. He and Ran around and getting quotes and all sort of things from them. But, yes, Knocktrop is asking in the chat, was that live? Yep, that was actually him sitting right there As we started the show, Blaine pointed at the TV. It's Callahan.
Well, they did it on purpose just so we could have it live.
100%.
Yeah. They said we got to take care of Blaine and Mickey.
100%. I appreciate them doing that. Nobody ever does anything at 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
Everything happens at 3 or in the morning.
Everybody's going to eat, man. We get some lunch brunch.
So that was nice of them to drop that on us. It's been interesting getting to know Callahan, and just I've gone back and listened to several clips of him. Then we got to hear a little bit of him live there, but will be fun to continue to get to know him. And at some point we'll go over there. The offseason program I think is set to start April 8th, so we'll get to know all these other new assistant coaches too. Some of those guys with Stevie J, you played with, and some of the other guys. But for the rest of us media and for Titans fans who enjoy hearing from all those coaches, we'll get to know everybody. So it's a lot going on with the Titans right now as they continue free agency and the owners meeting. So rules are changing and getting voted on and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, again, a little bonus Brian Callahan as we start the show. Did you know that he said something this week that you will very much like? I've been holding on to this. He said
he's
yes, Brian Callahan said so.
I've liked all their moves. I mean, they've been very strategic, but I like them. I don't know, what would he say that I would like?
He said this too. He said, "I want to let Blaine Bishop know this."
that
Brian
we
Callahan,
win a Super Bowl.
He wants all of us to know
later.
that. Brian Callahan said he expects his starters to play in the preseason. How much remains to be seen, but there's an element of having that game feel before you go get ready to play. Doesn't have to be a lot, but I think it is important for guys to get a little bit of action. You only been saying that for how many years? How many years now?
Well, ever since they kind of changed, went from 4 to 3.
Yep.
But I think you have to, and I'm only going through my own experience because sometimes you get out there and as a proven starter, when you go out there in preseason, your thought process is, I want to survive. So survive is, I don't want to get injured. I'm playing 12 plays, 20 plays, and I'm out, right? So once you start thinking like that, then you will potentially find yourself in uncompromising positions. So you got to end up saying, okay, I got to go back and I got to play this like it's a real game. So just play it like it's a real game, and you need it because of the speed of the game. Make sure you got your timing down or things that you need to work on as a veteran player, but make little nuances, even in communication. In a game. So to me, those only can happen if you go live. So I really believe in that. Now, how much you play individual players and all that is a little different. Everybody should have their own little schedule. But, I think you have to. So I didn't agree with the Vrabel not playing like Tannehill and King and all
Chig.
Chig. Chig was a big one because he was still a young player. And he was an unproven player. He showed glimpses of, he could be really good, but that was last season. Every year is a new year. So if you don't think that you're getting evaluated as a player every year, then you're going to be upside down. You're going to be out of the league pretty quick. I don't care even if you're a starter. You better not assume. You better always feel like you're trying to prove that you belong in the league and that you're going to be better than you were the year before. If not, then you're going to be on another team or you're going to be out the league. So that's kind of the approach, and you have to do that in preseason and setting the tone. Because once you become a veteran, that's why I was really talking about it for guys who, are starters, is you want to make sure you get your timing down and everything else. But, they may also be wanting to look to ship you somewhere else. But you also want to put on film that you are still the same guy you were the year before. So there's a lot of caveats to it all, but I really believe that you have to be that way. And in particular, the quarterback. And that's when he was doing the Tannehill thing. And I want to say, well, he needs to play. First of all, I want to see if he comes back from his injury, see if he's still the same guy, see if he's confident in that ankle, because your legs are an extension of your arm.
Sure.
So he needs his power source to make sure he can still drop those throws. So I really thought, I disagree with that too. And it's kind of a big deal. Now, I get it if you're, Hall of Fame type quarterback, maybe a little different. Every circumstance is his own little individual circumstance. But being that this is a blue-collar team and everything else, and where Tannehill was at in his career, I think he needed to prove that he was back and better than before. So, I think that's how you got to think. So, I completely agree with that. Yeah, you got to get started. I mean, even if it's only for 12 plays or whatever it is, you got to get out there and get the groove back, especially with all these rule changes when you're a defensive guy. I feel so sorry for the defensive guys. This is like, this is horrible, man.
The Tennessee Titans have not won a season opener since 2019.
Yeah, and I thought that was another reason why I thought they started off slow every year. But it was more so because I didn't, especially a physical team that was a running team, didn't play their linemen enough in the preseason, once again, to get into that groove, because it's about a groove and working together in live action. It's totally different. You're revving this thing up and you're going way faster than you do at practice, in a simulated scrimmage, playing teams. It is not the same. You don't get no adrenaline rush from a freaking practice against a scrimmage with somebody else. You're moving at a bigger pace, faster pace. So, I thought the linemen would always hold us back, being that this was a running, physical, dominant team under Vrabel.
Sorry, I misspoke. 2020.
Yeah, I was going to say that seemed pretty far back.
They played Denver.
Yeah, okay. That sounds about right, yeah.
But so since 2020, so 2021, 22, and 23, they lost their season openers.
Yeah. But the early games are always sketchy because you just don't know sometimes, what they're going to do. They may try to do a whole bunch of trickery or a whole bunch of things that they didn't do the year before, or they got a whole new coaching staff and you don't know what to expect. So you're preparing for all these different things, and then they end up doing one thing really well, and you just could never really get it under control. Yeah.
If you were on a team and you were playing the Titans this year, let's say you're on Philly now and you got to play the Titans in one of the first 2-3 games, how much for you to prepare for the offense, how much Bengals would you go and watch since it's Callahan?
He's been there. How long was he there? 5
5
years?
or 6 years?
Yeah, 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
That's what I would have done. I would have actually started probably in probably next month. I'd be starting to watch the Bengals and slowly just start saying, okay, and then get tendencies just on my own accord, and then I'll start taking notes. And then maybe that last season I'm going to bottle up, and then going into the season I'm going to really hone in and when we get into training camp. Yeah, so I was a studier, and I didn't. A lot of guys, they were so good, man. They would just come watch film, what the coaches give them, and it's already cut up. Naturally now you could take it home and watch it, but I would just watch film at practice because you're there all day, and you are watching a lot of film. But that's kind of what I would do. I've gone back. I think the furthest I've gone back is like 7 or 8 years watching. And it was only because you're following coordinators. So, like, if a coordinator left and went to another place, so now I'm going back and seeing, okay, did you play this guy before? And then what did he do with previous time? And then did he change or did he add to his playbook? Because they do. So I would have notes on all the different coordinators in a notebook.
I want to see this notebook. I want to read these notes. NFL got notes out on how the kickoff is going to work. We talked about this yesterday. What exactly will it look like? We got that for you. We got a lot of NFL talk in the first hour of the show. You want to join us? Phone lines are open, 615-737-1045. You can jump in, leave a comment in the F&M Bank chat. Of course, always you can tweet to us at Blaine and Mickey. You can follow us at Blaine and Mickey on Twitter and Insta. I would recommend that you go do that now. We'll be right back. Blaine and Mickey, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors.
Hey, this is Blaine Bishop, and I'm excited to tell you about Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance, or as you may know them as TOA. And TOA has 29 locations and over 100 orthopedic physicians throughout Middle and East Tennessee to take care of all your musculoskeletal needs. In addition to their orthopedic clinics and urgent care facilities, TOA offers physical therapy, hand therapy, and sports performance training for teams and individuals at their sports performance centers. And as a former professional athlete, I know how important access to expert orthopedic care is. So whether you're an athlete, active adult, or just looking to get back to living your best life, you can visit TOA online at TOA.com. That's TOA.com. Or you can call them at 1-855-NEED-TOA. That's 1-855-NEED-TOA.
Blaine and Mickey 1045 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. When trust matters, always roll with All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Always roll with us. You miss anything, you want to hear something again, Blaine and Mickey podcast, rate, review, subscribe, all your favorite Zone programs. Also, to get that Zone app, then no matter where you go, like you're eating lunch with your grandma, you can have one of your earbuds in and just be like, yeah, this is delicious, Granny, but then you can hear Blaine breaking down football in the other ear. Like listen to your grandma with one ear and then listen to the other ear, listen to us.
Our Bananas typing up our poll question.
100%. Poll question is out. What do you think about this new kickoff change in the NFL? Here's the actual question of the day. Do you like the new NFL kickoff changes that will be in effect in 2024? Share your thoughts with us. It's the Tim McGraw poll. I like it. I love it. It should have been I want some more of it. Just kidding. Here are your three options. I love it. I hate it. Let's see how it plays. Right now, the clubhouse leader by a mile is let's see how it plays with a close, distant, very, very distant second of I love it and a close third to that of I hate it. So a lot of people are just saying, let's just see how this looks.
Which I think is fair because is this like the biggest like change to the game in recent memory?
I don't know.
Like in terms of like procedural things and things that you're used to having. Like we're used to having the kickoff, even though I know it hasn't been what it used to be as of recently. But is this the biggest change that in terms of just the game of football that we've seen the NFL make in a while?
It's going to look so different. It's really going to look different to people. Now, I watch all those other leagues, so it won't look that different to me because I came in and was freaking out about it because I was watching XFL. I was like, oh, my gosh, the
NFL should adopt it. I remember it to this day.
I was you know me, man. I get so excited about things. I was so excited because I thought this cancels the running, however many yards to hit each other. You're 5 yards apart.
Trying to be safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's the player safety league, Blaine, as you know.
Yeah. Well, in a league that you're bound to get hurt every day you go out there. That possibility is so high.
Right. You're in 45 car wrecks a Sunday or a Wednesday, which we'll get to that as well. They're going to play on Wednesday again this
Christmas.
year, which we told y'all during COVID. Remember that? Remember during COVID? And we'll save time for this because we can get into it. When they were just playing games every day of the week and we're like, those people are like, we can do whatever we want.
This is going to be fantabulous. Remember no games on Friday? High school games? Nope.
They're playing in Brazil on Friday. I mean, imagine being that league and just thinking, we can do anything we want, including just radically change what you do for kickoffs. So here you go. I found an explanation. Here you go. The kicker will kick the ball from his own 35-yard line. So paint a picture. This is radio. We paint mental pictures. So picture a kicker, Nick Folk, standing at his own 35-yard line.
By himself.
All by himself, putting the ball on the tee. Supposedly with this deal, you can't even have somebody come and stand back by the kicker. They'll use the thing they use on the sideline. When they kick the ball into the net, that little arm that's on it.
The stand, yeah.
They'll use that. They'll use the stand that they use on the side, like if the wind is blowing hard. Remember they'd always have some dude come over and squat down?
Well, have to.
Yeah, not anymore. And an official will run and grab it after the play. So if it's windy, they're going to use the kicking stand.
Yeah, because no players are there.
Can't be there because you could run so hard that you'd concuss somebody. So they thought of everything. Here you go.
I don't know if they thought about everything. I got a couple questions.
Well, they're going to figure out, like in the first 3 or 4 games, like, oh, shoot, what about this? But here you go. The kicker will kick the ball from his own 35-yard line. Picture a lonely Nick Folk at the 35. 10 of his teammates will line up on the other team's 40-yard line. So all the way to he's going to be lonely for a long time.
But the kickers are used to it. That's how they are at practice.
100%. The receiving team's 9 or 10 blockers, because you can put 2 people back to return the kick maximum.
Oh.
The receiving team's 9 or 10 blockers will line up on their own 35-yard line, so they'll be 5 yards away from the 10 defenders. Here you go. This is where Terry Killens and all of our official friends are going to have to okay, how does this work again? The kick must land between the 20-yard line and the goal line. A kick that goes out of bounds or lands short of the 20 will be awarded to the receiving team at the 40-yard line.
Ooh.
A kick that goes into the end zone for a touchback will go out to the receiving team's 30-yard line.
Can you can return a touchback, correct?
Yep. That's if you just run over and down it, which I don't know how many people will. Mm-hmm. Those guys will be like, they look a long ways away. I'm going to see what I can do here. And again, we talked about this yesterday. In 2023, only about 20% of kickoffs were returned, none in the Super Bowl. So they want excitement, but they want less long, banging collisions, which
that's all you got?
Yeah, that's the way it's going to work.
Nope, you got more. I'm about to ask a question. Then you're going to come up with more.
Ask more.
What about when you onside kick? Whoa, you don't know that?
Yeah, you have to tell them.
What?
There's no more surprise onside kicks.
Exactly.
Like
That's
in the Super Bowl.
I don't like, because the Sean Payton when they did. Yeah.
Yes.
Like, okay, so now we're just going to tell them what we're going to do because of this new rule.
So
that's the part of it I don't like.
They will let you put 6 on one side and
right, like you could before.
You can offset the formation by 1, but there's no more surprise onside kicks, which in the Super Bowls, maybe the craziest thing we've all ever seen.
Yeah, it was really crazy.
Which was fantastic.
Great.
Sean Payton, won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that was against the Colts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Hank Baskett was the guy they kicked it at.
Oh, yeah.
Career special teams guy. And he was like, uh-oh.
Yeah, he was with the Eagles there.
Yep. So, Brent says, what if it's a bad kick? Well, if it goes out of bounds or doesn't make it to the 20, then you get it at the 40-yard line.
Yeah.
So, there's now strategy in with your kicker. So it's not just, kick it out of the back of the end zone, take it at the 25. It's, hey, you got to land it in this spot. You got to land it in this spot right here, or get it to that returner or whatever, because we don't want to lose this field position battle right off the gate.
Can you recall, I guess, or remember when watching those, let's say, UFL games, how much the field position changed or guys broke loose on those returns?
I remember a couple of plays where a guy got loose. I don't think I remember a touchdown being scored. But I do remember guys getting to the 45 and to the 50 and just if you have a super explosive guy who can get upfield quickly, because nobody's got the only guy with any momentum running is the guy with the football. He's the only guy who's got the chance to get any momentum.
Because the blockers are actually engaged, and then the other guys hadn't run further enough, and they're engaged, so they have to get off a block and then get to running so they can chase a guy down.
They have to immediately get off a block, right? Because and it'll be interesting. The teams say, let's try to drop back and make some kind of wall if we can, or let's just go straight at your guy and engage him to give the –
That may be the strategy, to be honest, yeah.
So guys are going to have to if you're Colt Anderson as the special teams coordinator for the Titans now, you got a lot to sort through. Yeah. How are we going to block it? What kind of returner do we want? Do we –
Well, the returner matters now.
Yes, it does.
Just imagine, let's say, let's go to UT guy, Cordell Patterson, who's been in the league just specifically just to do that at this point in time and play running back, wide receiver, whatever. He's kind of a, jack of all trades. He's a guy that's hard to handle who is powerful, too.
Yep.
At the same time with blazing speed, even at this age. So, yeah, this is going to be interesting. Hopefully this opens up, what are they trying to do? More offense. One thing that they keep barely mentioning, I think gets an oversight, offenses were down last year compared to the year before, and I mean a lot.
Do you remember 4 or 5 weeks in, we were talking about something and whatever, and you said, hey, I'm just going to tell you, here's the one thing I'm noticing. Defenses are pushing offenses around this year.
Yeah.
To the point that they're scoring less. Well, then all the stats started to come out, and you were right.
Yeah. Well, I think what happened was everybody studied what they could and couldn't do and what they could do to slow down teams. First of all, they was like, okay, when we get in the red zone, they're scoring 3, not 7. So it started there. And then, they said, okay, what's our plan of attack? Most of them went after, better pass rushers, just solid, starting corners, and said, hey, let our front four get after them. If they want to throw the ball around the yard, we're going to get after them. So, yeah, it was, and playing different type of zones, really unique zones. I thought Vrabel and crew did a really good job with some of that in the pass passing secondary to come up with some things that would disguise and confuse the quarterbacks. Yeah, I thought that was really unique.
Let's bring Steve in the mix. 615-737-1045.
Like they did against the Dolphins.
Yes, sir. New kickoff rules, Steve. You like them? You don't like them? What do you think?
Hey, guys.
Hey.
Oh, I thought we didn't have you. Okay. What's going on?
A quick question for you.
Yes, sir.
I don't hate the new rule, but my question is, can the ball, once the ball is kicked and the guy receiving the kickoff, can everybody start running as soon as it kicks off, or does he have to catch the ball for them to start running?
Ooh.
I'll hang up and listen.
He has to catch it.
He has to catch it, or it has to hit the ground in
First.
the landing zone.
Yeah.
And that
20
landing
and in.
zone is the
20
20 and in, yeah.
Which, what if you had just some crazy directional kicker guy and he was like, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to kick it about to the 15 as far away from the turn man every time. Now, you can't go out of bounds to go to the 40, but it always went to the 40 if it was kicked out of bounds.
Yeah.
But if nobody else is back there to fumble or bumble around with it, you're like, no, there's a big gap. I'm going to try to kick it in between the gap. This could be any kind of strategy. Every team could do it differently.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't go out of bounds. So you try to kick it where nobody's at, but as long as it'll trickle, into the end zone or stops. So some of these guys are real magicians with the ball, as you're mentioning, Mickey. Yeah, so it could be interesting strategies throughout this whole process. So, and I'm sure a lot of coaches are going to toy around with some of the stuff in preseason too.
Do you think this you could see a lot more like squib kicks where kickers are trying to make the returner back there have to field it more difficult, so make it bounce in.
Yeah.
And that way, he
buys
muffs
yourself
it.
some time.
You buy some time, you muffs it, because as soon as it hits the ground at that 20, your players can take off. And so then you got to worry about the returner fielding it. Then he's got to field it cleanly. Then you got a whole squad running at him. There's a lot of things you could do with this to manipulate it and make it more exciting.
Well, also just for strategy. I mean, just how you return them and how you kick them. Here's some more stuff from Yahoo Sports on this. Any kick that lands in the landing zone, which is up to the 20-yard line, any kick that lands in the landing zone must be returned. While any kick that bounces into the end zone from the landing, so if it hits at the 5 and bounces in, which might occasionally happen, must either be returned or you can down it, but that touchback only goes to the 20. So let's say you got a guy in the end zone, he's chasing after the ball, hits on the 5 and rolls into the end zone. If he's like, screw it, and just kneels down with the ball, you only get it at the 20. So they're daring you to run it out. They are daring you to run this sucker out. Any kick that lands short of the landing zone gives possession of the receiving team at the 40. Any kick that hits the end zone and is downed is a touchback. If it lands in the end zone, that's a 30. Any kick that goes out of the back of the end zone is also a touchback to the 30. No more fair catches except in the end zone. There are no here you go. This Yahoo's got it all. There's no onside kicks at all until the fourth quarter begins and a team is trailing, and the current onside kick rules would apply, it says.
Mm-hmm.
So teams that are up can't onside kick?
Nope.
It doesn't seem like it. If you do, you have to notify them that you're onside, and regardless. It doesn't. I'm gonna just say that because you got to notify them at any point in time you're onside kicking.
Yep.
Yeah.
So everybody can come back up to their normal spot.
Yeah, the element of surprise is no longer, and I really love that because it's like, oh my gosh, they got it, or oh no, why did they do that? They recovered, So yeah, that was always great, man. Fishbone had some of those in his back pocket, man. We used to do too, man. Fisher used to do that every now and then, man.
If you thought kickers were important before this, they just got 100 times more important because now you're playing a field position game.
Yeah. I remember one year the Titans played the Colts, and the Titans were having a down year just after you had retired.
Yeah,
they just onside kicked
every time. It was awesome, and they got the majority. I was dying laughing. It was awesome.
Here,
was great.
For people who wonder, why would you do all this? Here's sort of Yahoo has a whole story on this. Sort of, okay, this is why it happened. Touchbacks increased steadily in recent years, from 416 in 2010 to 1,970 in 2023. return yards in that time went from 45,000 down to 13,000. So this was the equivalent of this, because Joseph was like, man, like, what was the most radical thing compared to this? Here's the only thing I can think of, and it just hit me because I didn't really have an answer for you. When they moved back the extra points.
Oh.
When they moved it back.
Some guys were shanking them. It was like, what?
It totally got in their heads.
Yeah.
Because that had become so automatic. Like, your team has scored a touchdown, you'd be like, I'm going to go get something to eat or go to the bathroom while they kick this, extra point. Hardly anybody ever missed one, and dudes miss extra points now. I mean, what is it, 33 yards or whatever it is? Oh, my gosh. What is it, 33, 37?
33.
33. So that was a pretty radical change to drag the extra point all the way out there. So that would be the closest thing. And both times it's special teams related.
Yeah. So for another thing to add on, this is from CBS Sports for those wondering why the NFL is doing it. So just comparing to the XFL where this kickoff was in 2023, in 40 regular season games in the XFL, they had 341 kickoff returns. In 272 regular season games in the NFL, they only had 587. That's only like 270 more.
Yeah.
And 232 less games. They're trying to make the play mean something again, because right now it doesn't.
Yeah.
Well, definitely that is the objective, but also it's another way to get the offense some more advantages to me. Like, to me, defense is standing there. That's much harder for them to make a tackle with a guy coming full speed and you have just taken, like, let's say 3 or 4 steps after engaging someone. So it's another way to enhance offense in my mind. And that's what it's about. And that's why I think they went this route.
The Tannehill play, which Joseph played for us on the screen yesterday.
They could have been done this.
Right.
I mean, as soon as it came out in UFL or, XFL, whatever, they could have been like, oh, man, just like you did. We should do this.
Mm-hmm.
I said, oh, man, they'll probably never do it because they don't want to say they copied off of it. Well, they did.
Well, and I think you were alluding a little bit to the hip drop tackles stuff as well earlier. The fact that they changed that, it'll be interesting to see how that gets changed or how that gets officiated, I should say.
Well, how about this, though? Especially with Callahan and new coaches. How are coaches from all the way up top, NFL, college, high school, it's going to eventually trickle down? How are you teaching guys how to tackle?
I was going to ask you that.
I have no idea.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know, man. This one here is baffling for me because you're trying to tackle somebody. You can start up high, and then all of a sudden your arms are sliding down because the guy is actually trying to run. Mm-hmm. So he's got power. This dude trains. So you could still be hanging on, and you then try to make yourself heavy and pull him down. Now, all the twisting and turning, I've never was taught that at all at any point. So I don't know if coaches were teaching that. I don't think they are. So I'm interested to see how you're going to teach not to tackle like that. What is the way to tackle a guy when you're in the open field and you have to do something to get him down? This is going to be real interesting.
They used to tell us, you approach him face up, put your face into his chest. Yeah, I weighed about 60 pounds.
Sometimes you can't do that, though. That's where all this hip tackle guys are coming from the side. And when they show the Andrews tackle on the tight end for the Ravens, that guy was coming from inside out like he was a linebacker, chased him. I thought it was a good tackle. I don't think he intently tried to hurt him and do all the things they're talking about, and he would have got a penalty. I mean, I don't know. What if you do it multiple times? Is it you get thrown out or anything?
I don't know about that. I don't know how many you get. I mean, it's a personal foul, so.
Here's why I say that. When they changed the rule on not hitting the guys high, some guys just did it anyway and just said, freak it, I'm just going to get a penalty. Right. Oh, well. Penalty or the guy scores.
Right.
What do you want me to give up, Coach?
Yep.
I can't adapt yet. It's going to be so. This one's probably a little easier to adapt to, but there's still going to be some opportunity. Somebody's in the open field, and you're going to be like, just try to shoulder bump them, and they're going to keep going.
Yeah. Well, let's keep going into the next segment. Blake and Jordan and Joe all want to talk about different things and onside kicks and Titans and what's going to happen next in the NFL and what is a busy week, and we will continue to discuss it next with your phone call, 615-737-1045 on Blaine and Mickey, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors.
Hey, Tennessee, it's Blaine Bishop here. And with the unpredictable weather hitting us hard, it's crucial you ensure your home is equipped for any challenge. So don't let the next power outage catch you off guard. And CoolRay's heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical has your back. And they're offering an incredible $1,500 off select at-home generators. And yes, you heard it right, $1,500 off. So don't gamble with your family's safety. Act now and secure your peace of mind with CoolRay. And if that's not enticing enough, take advantage of their $49 tune-up from your HVAC system. It's perfect for ensuring your home stays comfortable in any weather. And if you've been thinking about upgrading to a new HVAC system, they're offering free estimates on replacements. Their expert comfort consultants are ready to guide you toward the perfect solution for your home. And that's CoolRay, keeping Tennessee cool, plumbing right, and lights bright. All you have to do is visit CoolRay.com to take control of your home's comfort and safety. That's CoolRay.com.
Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone, having a good time. We should just turn the breaks into a show. We should just run that as a podcast later or something. We're breaking everything.
Oh, man, I did my break dance, and Michael Jackson did the splits and everything.
You even dropped a
I know, man. It was pretty unique.
Just imagine.
That's not what Bananas thought.
Just imagine being at the top of your game as a singer and just thinking, like, what can I throw in here as an ad lib? You're like, let's go. Nah, what about he? Oh, perfect.
Oh.
MJ was at the.
Oh, man.
I know there's questionable things going on. But
right, of course.
Just acknowledging all that. But, hey, man, that cat was,
going on.
He was, yeah. Let's take some phone calls. Blake in Lebanon. Once you get in Lebanon. That's where you got to say it. What's going on with you, Blake?
Lebanon.
Oh, nothing much, man. Just out here driving. I just had a quick question about onside kicks. I really haven't looked into it too much. So I wanted to, kind of get confirmation on that. What's going to happen with the onside kick? In my opinion, it's one of the more exciting plays in football, but even though it's not very successful, it's still fun to watch. So I just kind of wanted to know what you guys thought about that.
Yeah, that's what we were saying. Yahoo Sports had written about it and essentially said only in the fourth quarter, only by the team that's trailing. And, of course, there's no more secret. You just got to tell them, hey, everybody come up here to the kick zone, and we're going to onside kick this.
That's another part. I did not know that rule until you said it in the statement earlier at the beginning of the show. I do not like you can only do it in the fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. As long as you notify them, they know that you're now doing an onside kick. You still don't have to onside kick it. You can still kick it deep, by the way. I think maybe someone will try to manipulate that part of it, too, as well. Because when you put your hands team on there, they're not as good at blocking.
Right.
Yeah. That's going to be an interesting one. Because I don't like that you have to wait till fourth quarter, as you said, fourth quarter.
That's what they said, fourth quarter for the trailing team. Fourth quarter.
Yeah, I don't like that.
I don't like. That's what I said. That's the onside part and then the fourth quarter and what?
Let's be honest, though.
They're showing it anytime.
They're showing a willingness to change things. So maybe it goes a year and they go, okay, let's fix this and this and this.
Well, I mean,
somebody should be sitting there saying, why do we want to put on limitations on when they can actually do onside kick?
I agree.
These coaches are sitting right here. You go, well, what if I want to do it in the first quarter? Even if I notify them, I want to do it in the first quarter. I should be able to do that.
There were only 3 teams that voted no against this. It was the Packers, 49ers, and somebody else. Let's see if Joe in Bowling Green would have voted no on it. Joe joins us now. What's up, Joe?
Hey, I hate the onside kick rule they're implementing. I do. Hey, do you guys sing along with Cars for Kids? Don Davenport said they do. Do you do that?
He said, do we sing along with the Cars for Kids jingle? It's a straight banger, man. I wish I had written that song. And also the Pepto-Bismol jingle where they say diarrhea. Now, think about that. A songwriter probably wrote that. And he came to Nashville, or she, and trying to make millions of dollars and get on country radio. And it's like, no, but I wrote a song about diarrhea that makes me millions. Yeah, I would have written that song.
Well, let me ask you something, Mickey. I wonder where the yellow went when I brushed my teeth with Pepsodent. I'm sure you grew up with that.
Boy, that may have been maybe I remember that one. Maybe I remember it. I'm pretty young though.
Yeah, I know. You were a baby, and you're a baby when this happened too. I told Bananas that the NFL used to have the goalpost on the goal line.
Yes, they did.
It wasn't until I think sometime in the 70s. Mainly, and that was player safety. The quarterbacks had to throw around it. Guys would run into it, running a route. I mean, it was, really, really bad. And finally, they got smart and moved it back. And if I was a Titan special teams coach, I might consult with some of these summer league people and see, hey, what worked, what was successful, and can you guys help us figure this thing out,
Yeah.
Joe, that's genius, man. I'd be calling
I would be.
I don't know, Baltimore Stallions special teams coach and saying, hey, man, how did y'all work with this last year?
Yeah, because it was in Birmingham, right? Like all the games played in Birmingham last year?
In one of the leagues, yes.
Right, one of the leagues. I don't know where they're going to do it this year at. Or is it in the actual cities?
I think it's in the actual cities. Okay. So they got to pay for travel for all these rascals, which bankrupts all these leagues really fast. So we'll see how it goes. If I'm the NFL, look, man, here's the deal. We're going to give you guys X amount of $1 million. But if we say you're doing this rule because we want to see what it looks like with real people, then by gosh, you're doing it. If I'm the commissioner, I take the money and I say, sure, we'll be your guinea pig league for rules. Sure. I'll be your guinea pig league for rules. I mean, but I want the NFL's money. I want their backing. But think about, like, I don't know, all these third-string quarterbacks that never play. If you're the NFL, it could almost be like a farm league for quarterbacks and for specialists, you know, all these punters that bounce.
It's a farm league for
everything.
Position.
Yeah.
That's how I would look at it, especially guys who aren't getting experience or just didn't have the right opportunities or, you know, didn't get a chance to really showcase what they can actually do. So, yeah.
I'd 100% do it. All right, hour number 2 coming up. Knock Drop says XFL introduced the field zip camera back in the day, the camera that follows from up top.
Yeah.
We all like that.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, when I become the commissioner, don't worry, kids. I'll take care of you.
What about when they punting and it gets in the way? Remember that happened?
Mm-hmm.
The
Was
Brett
that in
Kern.
Dallas?
There was that. Remember Eagles?
Kern
the
hit
playoff
it.
game. Kern
Yes.
hit it.
Yeah.
The Eagles Niners playoff game last year. I
Oh,
believe.
that's right. That's
and
right.
He
hit the wire.
hit it up high and hit the wire.
Kern.
Remember Kern? Kern was there.
Kern did it. Kern was the man. We'll try to be the men in hour number 2. Coach Mack is going to join us. He is the man. We'll ask him about these rule changes and all this stuff. Got headlines for you next. The Sneed deal looks to be done. We'll give you the financials. Hang on.
Sneed.
Below MSRP? Below MSRP. Below MSRP. It's pretty simple. Two Rivers Ford sells all new non-specialty Fords below MSRP.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Good afternoon. It is 2 o'clock right on the dot. I am Joseph Bonanno. Earlier this morning, new Titans cornerback L'Jarius Sneed has agreed to terms on a massive new contract now that his deal to Tennessee is done. It's a 4-year, $76.4 million deal. That includes $55 million guaranteed and a $20 million signing bonus. He becomes one of the highest paid cornerbacks in the NFL. The NFL owners meeting continues in Orlando this week as we have more rule changes coming to fruition. The NFL trade deadline has been moved back a week and will now be after week 9 of the NFL regular season. And the NFL has approved a new hybrid kickoff model similar to that one that originated last year in the XFL. The Naismith Men's National Player of the Year finalists are out, and that includes R.J. Davis of UNC, Zach Edey of Purdue, Jamal Sheed of Houston, and Dalton Knecht of Tennessee. And then the Nashville Predators are back in action against the Las Vegas Golden Knights tonight at Bridgestone Arena, looking to continue their franchise record point streak to 18 games. Puck drop starts for that one at 7 o'clock. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. Happy Tuesday to you. Happy Coach Mack Day. Coach Mack will be on with us in about 20 minutes. Happy, check cashing day to L'Jarius Sneed. Happy check cashing day.
Check cashing day?
Yeah.
It's a direct deposit into your account.
I
It's
would
like
ask-
unbelievable. Like sometimes you're like, are they sure they're going to put it in there? Like some guys used to be like, I just want to check.
I know people like that.
I remember I used to talk to Kevin Carter. He's like, no, I just want to check because I want to take a picture of it actually, and I'm going to frame it. I'm like, do what? I didn't even think about that. I should have done that. I said, nope. I told him direct deposit. I don't want to touch it.
Okay, there's always these stories about Ricky Henderson, and some are true and some aren't true. But when you go on the road, I don't know. You can tell me, did you guys get a per diem? You just typically flew somewhere and played the game and came back. You'd spend one night.
Yeah.
Like baseball, they're gone 11 days or whatever. So every day they get meal money.
Oh, gotcha.
And so Ricky Henderson apparently was just taking those checks and saving them. And so like one of his kids would be like, Dad, could I have some money? I got that. He would just like endorse the check and hand it to him. So finally the A's called him and they're like, man, you got like 17 uncashed expense checks. He's like, yeah, I give them out slow to my kids. They're like, you have to cash those, Ricky.
Yeah, because you only have like a 90-day window or something.
Right. He was just putting them in a drawer,
30
though.
days.
And, he'd be like,
oh, wow.
well,
No, I never did.
here's one for $270. Let me sign this one for you. So there are legends about Ricky, but I've read that one's actually true. He was just saving all his per diem checks. And finally, they're like, hey, man, all these checks are expiring, Ricky. You got to cash them. He was like,
Maybe I should have thought about that when I got my signing bonus when I was a rookie. My $25,000 signing bonus.
Hey,
Take a
man.
picture of that check. Boy, people would laugh. But then I was like, what? You only got $25,000? Yeah, man. I was rich.
Hey, man. Because we're of course, I'm older than you, but we're close to the same age.
Yeah.
I can remember being in college and going to check my bank account once. This is a true story. I had $117 in my bank account. And I remember like going, yeah. I
know you did.
I remember telling a friend of mine, like, I have over $100. I was so
You said this
excited.
when you was in college?
I told a friend of mine, I'm like, man, I have $117. I just couldn't believe it. So if I had been like, let's say my band had gotten signed because I had a band, they were like, here's $25,000, even before taxes. What was it after taxes? Like 14 or 17?
Yeah,
your
it was
agent?
something, yeah. It was
13?
Yeah, it was
Dude,
a low number.
If you'd shown me $25,000, I would have pooed my undies. I would have not known what in the world to do with it.
Oh, man. Yeah, that
My
was
first
12,000.
ever paycheck was like $145. And I thought I was on top of the world.
Oh, no, my first paycheck like at a fast food place. Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was, 15 years old? Yeah. I was on top of the
14.
world.
I hope
my corn did tasseling.
When you worked at the poop plant, did you get hazard pay for poop?
They didn't give me no
It was just regular pay?
Yeah. Well, I had on like a fireman suit every day. Like even the mask, the help, everything. It was just horrible.
Was this
if I wasn't doing that, I was cutting the grass.
Okay.
Yeah, so they paid us like $15 an hour.
Ooh.
Yeah, so it was pretty cool. But half the time I would be just sitting until I had to clean the thing or cut the grass.
Yeah.
So it was a nightmare. It was not fun. So I did that. I've worked in a corn detasseling, and you had to go in the freezer thing, and like the Rocky Balboa, the meat's hanging up and everything. Yeah, I was in that. I could not handle that. I told him I cannot go. I said, I've been cold all day the rest of the night. I couldn't come back. What are you doing? I don't know. I said, I can't do that.
Were you wearing the fireman suit in the summertime?
Yeah,
Okay.
but I was indoors though. So
okay,
you go inside the
treatment place. Yeah.
So it's like, my, I'll make sure everything is off the top.
How long till you got used to that smell?
Oh, I never got used to it. No, because this was a summer job, during the football season in college. So no, I never got used to it. So it was only 2.5 month run.
2.5 month.
I really thoroughly think that's what ignited all of my allergies, though.
Oh, I thought you were saying it ignited my. I was like, I'll never do this. I'll be a great player. You're like, I think I have allergies now.
No,
from poop.
I couldn't. Yeah, after that, I don't know if it was from cutting the grass or the poop plant.
L'Jarius Sneed, he'll never have to work at a poop plant, and he can hire somebody to cut his grass. Here you go. 2025 third rounder, so not anything this year from the Titans except swapping 7th round picks. So the Titans will give their highest 7th round pick to the Chiefs for wherever theirs is. So they're literally swapping 7th round picks this year, third rounder next year.
I thought that's pretty good. I mean, what did you guys think about that?
I thought it was a steal because in my mind I was thinking they're gonna want a third rounder for this year, which typically Titans don't have. So typically when you don't have it, then if you're going to give them a next year one, you got to go up a round. So I was thinking maybe they would give a 2025 second, or they would give this year second. But they said 2025 third, and I was like, all right, I'm in.
How about the Chiefs? Like, man, we just draft this guy in the 4th round, and we'll just move on from him. Draft somebody else in the 4th round.
Yeah, well, see, that's what I say. Every team is in his own situation. Now, what was interesting is there wasn't a lot of people out there the Titans were competing with, I think, the Colts, and then they kind of backed out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a little alarming considering that he was one of the better corners this past season, maybe the last couple seasons. Even without making a Pro Bowl, I think people could say that he's definitely in that top tier, top 10 type corner. So that was kind of interesting. Nobody really wanted him. But they can get away with the Chiefs because guess why? They got Mahomes. They can just go draft a corner, plug them in. Boom.
Also,
you take him or Mike Jones. You say, we're going to pay one or we can't pay both.
100%. This tells you that Spags' philosophy.
Yeah.
I'm going to get you from the front. I'll just draft dudes to play corner, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, if they had to make a decision between those two, it seems like that's what it was. Yeah, you always go that way. Yeah.
So 4 years, 76.4. This is Rap Sheet had this right before we came on the air. 4 years, 76.4, $55 million guaranteed, $20 million signing bonus.
Ooh.
So it's about 19 a year's what it winds up being, which is right up there with the top guys. What is that? Top 3, top 4?
I thought I saw it was 8th, tied for 8th with Jalen. It's like almost identical to the Jalen Johnson deal.
Okay, so top 8. Okay. He's only 27. He just turned 27. He's a 4-year vet. He was a 4th-round pick, as we talked about, out of La Tech.
Yeah, so they still getting him. They're getting him actually right on his way he's going up still to the peak. You peak as a defensive back probably around 28 to 30. Like you are playing your best ball during that time, 27 to 30.
Because you're up here.
Your mental is off the charts. There's nothing you haven't seen, and you feel like there's nothing that you can accomplish and do. And you're playing, physically the toughest position as far as man-to-man outside corner, which is really difficult.
So it is 4th. It's $800 or $800,000 more than Jalen Johnson, so it's 4th.
You got to make sure he was more than him.
Yeah, the only cornerbacks that are now paid more than L'Jarius Sneed on an average annual are Jair Alexander, who's making 21, Denzel Ward, who's making 20.1, and Jalen Ramsey, who's making 20.
Jalen Ramsey, man, still making that bank.
Nashville's finest.
Still making bank.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he going to keep making bank.
And you remember when he came out, because he came, you were like, hey, I know him. I'm come sit. He came sit, did a whole hour with us.
Oh,
it was great.
Oh, great guy. Yeah.
But, like, he played all over the secondary at Florida State. Remember, there was
well, he was a nickel guy because they had some really good players. I think a lot of them all got drafted and everything else. Then junior, senior, I think or whatever, his last 2 years there, he moved to outside corner. But he was even a safety at one point.
Yes.
Yeah. They were trying to get their best players on the field, and he ended up playing. It benefited him because, he's still an aggressive-natured, cornerback. So sometimes he looks into the backfield a little too much for me. But other than that, man, he's great. He's a great player, man. I would have loved for him to be with the Titans.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was pushing for that draft. I knew they weren't going to be able to get him, though. He was too good. He was too high. I have a pick.
It was fun talking to him for sure. Trey in Nashville wants to talk about Sneed. Let's see what Trey thinks. Trey, did you like that deal?
Oh, man. I think it was wonderful. What do y'all think?
Oh, hey, man, for what they traded for him, as long as that knee holds out, and obviously he had to pass the physical to consummate the trade, so they feel good about it. If they feel good, I feel good.
Yeah.
Hey, I think, you know what I'm saying, when we talk about violence, being aggressive on the field, I think we got the guy that can do that. I seen him play a few times this following season, and I was like, man, we need somebody like that on our team, and I'm glad we got him. And y'all have a good day, and thank you for taking my call today.
Thank you, Trey.
Yeah, no doubt.
Well, you brought up the video clip of him and Cheetah. He just beat him into the ground and stood over him.
Yeah, it was
Cheetah.
Yeah, and then he, he'll quick jam some guys and get them at the line, and sometimes that works, sometimes not. So there's some good and bad to that. But I think he's a great addition, especially with it. That's why I think they had to get the corners because the new coordinator Wilson is. I think he's going to be an aggressive nature. All you got to do is think about the Ravens defense. That's what I look about. Think about, and he has to have man-to-man guys who's going to challenge receivers at the utmost. Same thing with Murray at linebacker. He's going to be attacking style, means he's going to be blitzing, hitting A gaps, B gaps, and things of that nature. So he's always going to be coming downhill most of the time instead of sitting here trying to read and dissect what's going on. And that kind of favors him being a phenomenal, big, huge, great athlete like that. So not a lot of thinking is not involved.
How do you think the pairing between Sneed and Awuzie in terms of like their styles, and how they play cornerback?
Well, I don't see Awuzie. I think he challenges, but I don't think he's trying to quick jam guys and just embarrass them. I don't think he's on that level. I think he's a good quality starting cornerback. I think he plays off more than people think. He's not always challenging people, so he's got some different parts of his game which I like. You got to do different things. Every game is not the same game. If not, you line up, everybody knows what you're doing unless you're super duper, athletic, cornerback. So yeah, I like his game. I think he's solid. He's better than what we had the last couple of years. So yeah.
Well,
and he knows the coaching staff, by the way.
Them and Roger in the slot. I mean, that's an improvement over last year. That's a better cornerback trio than last year. Got to keep everybody healthy.
Yes. Yeah. I would be a little concerned. I don't know if I want to say the word concern, but I just haven't seen a lot of deep balls going against Sneed, Awuzie, as well as, based off what I've seen last year, McCrary on vertical threats, him running stride for stride with guys. I think that's still a little bit of an issue for him, which is tough in that slot, which the game is becoming more vertical from that spot, more so than just lateral and getting first downs. But, yeah, I think, man, this is a huge upgrade, all those guys, compared to where we've seen the last couple of years.
Sure feel better
I think Vrabel kind of lived off of, these underrated, hardworking, undrafted guys, which is cool, but that only takes you so far.
Right.
I mean, especially at corner, which you got to be probably the best athlete on the football field.
You're the biggest disadvantage of anybody on the football field.
Yeah, that's no question. So that's why you got to be the best athlete so you can recover.
Yes, sir. Coach Mack recovers in time to join us every week at this same time, and he will join us next. What does he think about the new kickoff rules? We'll get all that, some draft previews, and more next on Blaine and Mickey, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. All right, everybody. You can dry up the tears and say goodbye to those busted brackets because FanDuel is going to let you bet on every game of, this big tournament that's going on, whether you want to bet on a big upset or you want to roll with the number one seed, whatever you want. It's time for you to go dancing on America's number one sportsbook. And right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Maybe you want to bet on some of the chalk because the chalk has been rolling in this rascal, all the ones and the twos. Maybe you like UNC or Purdue or UConn to keep it all going. I think they're all going to keep going. So it's $200 to use on point spreads or money lines. You can even pick who's going to win it all. Make your choice. Visit FanDuel.com/Mickey and bet on college hoops until they cut down all the nets. That's MICKEY. Got to be 21 or older, though. Present Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789. Blaine and Mickey 104.5 The Zone. You know what that music means. It means Coach Mack is here with us. Coach Mack brought to you by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. Coach Mack, Titans Radio's most trusted coach. Coach, these NFL meetings are going on right now, and lots of changes being made, including the kickoff rule changing. It's going to look like that XFL kickoff rule, and I know you're like me. You watch all those other leagues. Curious to get your thoughts on them giving this new kickoff rule a shot.
Yeah, yes. I mean, I watched that on the XFL, and to be honest, I mean, I kind of liked it. And the reasons behind it, I mean, I think we all know. I mean, you guys know, and I know too, is a safety issue. Plus, the kickoff had really become a non-factor in football games because these guys now are just banging it through the back of the end zone, and so it's basically just a ceremonial thing. To kick off, get and put the ball back out on the 25 and let's start. And so rather than just putting it on the 25 without having anything, like taking the jump ball completely out of basketball, I watched this thing for the XFL. I was pretty intrigued by it and watching it. John Fossil, who worked with us for 5 years there at the Rams, is now with the Cowboys as special teams coach. He was instrumental in this. He and Rizzy down there at New Orleans. I mean, they had a group of special teams coaches that I'd visited with when I was at the Combine. And so they were tasked with putting, this thought process together. And, it's going to be a 1-year shot. Let's see how it works. I really, there's going to be a lot more returns. I know that. And the other thing that just thinking about it throughout the whole context of what's going on, in conjunction with the fact now that they are agreeing on making the third quarterback being able to come from the practice squad every week, so he doesn't have to be on the active roster. I mean, people are going to start having some returners, I think, to be able to take up a spot because there's going to be football's return now in this. It's going to be interesting to see what the strategy is as to how they do it as far as the target zone, where they put it. I think most people will probably put 2 returners back there because that's what they did in the XFL to try to, at least cover that target zone back there from the 20 to the goal line. It's going to be interesting to watch.
I always think about anytime a defensive rule change, I think about like Greg Williams walking in and pitching this to Blaine, or I think about you walking into that linebacker room with the Bears in the 80s and telling this to Mike Singletary and Otis Wilson, those guys. Hey, here's a video of a swivel hip drop tackle. We can't do this anymore.
I never taught a hip. I never knew what a hip drop was.
None of us did, Coach. None of us.
Me either.
Yeah, and I was glad to hear Keith Bullock say it. He said, "I've never been taught that. Nobody teaches that."
Right.
I mean, to me, it wasn't a taught skill. Guys just trying to get guys on the ground.
Right. That's it.
But you've had some guys hurt. You've had some guys hurt with some significant injuries. They see it. They voted 32-0 against it, and so the defensive side of the ball. I've been through a lot of things you had to adapt to in the league. Let's go back to when Blaine was playing and even before he was playing when I was coaching. I mean, there's a whole big difference is the way you approach going after the quarterback. And then they started, cutting that down. Then they started cutting down when you could, contact the receiver. So defensive coaches, they'll adapt to it. They will adapt to it. The thing that I'm going to be interesting to see is 2 things: how it's officiated, and then if it's not called, but then when they review it, when the former players are reviewing it, and then it's not called, but it's fined. Okay, so there's going to be some iterations going on with this, but it was a 32-0 vote. I've been at owners' meetings when they vote 32-0. Guess what you do as a defensive coach? You adapt to it.
Coach Mack adapts to us every week at the same time on Blaine and Mickey.
Mack attack adapt. So explain to me, Coach Mack, especially a guy like me, and I'm sure there's a whole bunch of players now that's way worse than I am, but how are you teaching guys how to tackle?
Well, I don't think nobody's ever taught the hip drop. I know that.
Sure.
Right.
I mean, I know that one. So you just keep teaching it the same, and then you tell them don't swing around and try to steer wrestle them. I guess. I mean, if somebody wants to go put on some rodeo tape and look at it, I mean, this is just like bulldogging or steer wrestling, coming off of a horse, yanking a steer around the head and swinging your legs up and dropping him to the ground. I guess you tell them don't do that. But as I said, in my 44 years of coaching, both collegiately and in the National Football League, I never even knew what a hip drop tackle was.
Hey, let's just blame it on Greg Williams, right? Just kidding. He probably doesn't even know what that is either.
Wait a minute, Blaine. I think he's taking his share of hits. He's
No, I know somebody said it on the chat, so I couldn't resist, man. So, yeah, no question about it, man. Yeah, he did not teach that. I guess you said you were familiar with the kickoff rule. Are there any holes or gaps? Because I didn't like how you have to tell them that you are going to onside, let alone that you can only do it in the fourth quarter, which baffles me. Like, as long as I'm telling them, I should be able to do it in any quarter that I want. So what are your thoughts on that part of the rule?
Well, they're taking the onside kick, completely out of it. That's what they're doing. Yeah. They're taking the onside because the onside kick, the way it used to be run, now, you know this. You played like this. I coached like this, where you would load everybody up over there on that side, and it was Braveheart charging when they would run down. And guys, you had 7 guys. You could overload that side. You had 7 guys. They were not going for the football. They were head hunting for those dudes setting up to try to block. And the thing you really wanted was some dude that was caught in between that front line and that back line that didn't know whether to look up or whether to look at you coming at, getting ready to ear hole him. That's what you wanted. Okay, that's when the ball started bouncing out there, free. And so the collisions is what they're trying to take away. To me, again, you learn to live with it. That's what you do. I know they tried to push through the thing where it's 4th and 20, and that they didn't go for that right now. They went for it in the other leagues. I've seen it in the other leagues where I think it was 4th and 15. But anyway, that being said, it's just another thing. It does you no good, as a coach. It does you zero good to complain about it because guess what? That's what they're going to do.
Right. Well, I was trying to figure out a way how to manipulate the rule a little bit, and that's why I was asking that. That's why I don't like it being only in the fourth quarter. What if I tell you, okay, I'm an onside kick in the first quarter? I go on an onside kick, and guess what? I decide not to onside kick. I kick it deep, but you have your onside people out there, not as good as blockers. Already a strategic strategy by a coaching staff. So that's what I was looking for when I say holes in the actual rule.
Yeah, you can't do it. You've got to. It's the same. It's the same way as the rule is now. When you line up go for 1 or 2.
Dang it.
If you line up to go for 1 or 2, you got to tell them, and then you got to do it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We're on with Coach Mack giving us the Mack attack. I guess, Coach, since Sneed just signed with the Titans, love to get your thoughts on him, especially when he came out of college. If you remember, it was only 4 years ago. I remember him at Louisiana Tech. Him and the other guy, Roberson, both were corners, both drafted in that same draft. He was drafted to the Raiders. So they were really good. Got to see them a lot on TV that year. I don't know why I watched them a lot, but I really liked him then. I thought he catapulted himself into the first round, late first rounder after he ran a 4.3 at the combine, but it did not happen, obviously. So give us your thoughts. A really solid player, one of the better cornerbacks in the league right now.
Well, yeah, I mean, he look in the 4th round, and I went back and looked at my notebook from that draft. In the pods that Rhett and I put up, we had him in the 4th pod, which is about where he went, and so, but what he did, and when you looked at his combine numbers, he has all the explosive numbers, plus he ran 4.37.
Yep.
So he had all explosive numbers. He's got extremely long arms, and then they down there at La Tech, the conference they were playing in, they were spinning the ball everywhere. So you got to watch him run and cover. So I thought the 4th round was about where he would go. So to me, major kudos to him. Here's a 4th round player that's drafted that comes in there. Now he also played some safety in college too. He played some safety to begin with, and that has stood him in good stead, Blaine, because he's a physical corner.
He's real physical.
I mean, he's not afraid to come up and rat-tat you, when you catch it. And so, to me, the way that they've strengthened the 2 quarterback slots, I think helps them a lot. I mean, you've got 2 guys that should be coming into the prime of their career, and plus they've got experience, at playing. And so I think it was a major upgrade, and you could tell that that's what Rand and Callahan had in mind when they went into this free agency period. And we know it's going to take some time to reset this football team, both offensively and defensively. This was just the first phase of it, but I like that fact of it, and I promise you who likes it, because I know he put his blessing on both of those guys, because that's why they hired him, is Denard Wilson.
Yeah, it's going to be attacking style defense. So, yeah, you got to have those man-to-man guys on the
There you
outside
go.
to get physical. So, yeah, I didn't know much about Awuzie besides the time he was with the Bengals. He had some injuries early on in his career there. And so I guess what was your analysis of him, if you can recall, when he came out?
Yeah, no, I like him, and again, he's a very, very smart corner. And again, the plus on him is you've got a head coach that was with him, and you've got a head coach that threw against him every day in practice. Okay, and so you know what that kind of knowledge is, because you know how close the DBs and the receivers work together during not only preseason but during the season too, because that's who you're working against, and the coaches know too. So Callahan had a really good insight into him, and as I say, I know that with this staff they've put together. I mean, I've worked with most of this defensive staff, and so I know that they're having an input because they made profile tapes before they ever started with free agency and with the draft as to the types of guys they were looking for at their particular positions.
Coach Mack giving us the Mack attack.
Coach, Brian Callahan has been a really open book at these NFL owners meetings, been doing interviews with Jim Wyatt and everybody else, and was asked about free agency, and he said, we got some of the guys we wanted, some guys we didn't, so we had to pivot. What does a free agency board look like for a team? I know there's less people compared to a draft board, because obviously you go in and this guy's a target, and then maybe the second guy at the position and the third guy. What does that plan look like on paper for a team going into free agency?
You've got them A, B, C, and D. You put up tiers of them, but of course, free agency is completely different because you're working with the salary cap, and you're working with how the contract is not only going to fit this year but 3 years down the road. That's what you're looking at. So it's now the ability wise. When you finally get your free agent board ranked, and you've got them ranked. I mean, however you do it, you can do it with numbers, you can do it with letters. I don't care, but it's A, B, C, D. And priority guys. And again, you kind of do it vertically and horizontally like you do a draft board, saying, okay, if these two guys, we've got a corner here, we've got a receiver here, they're both about the same. Now, which one, all right, money-wise can fit? That's all the permutations you have to go through, and you're constantly working. You're working with your cap guys, because these things evolve and change. And you're right. I mean, Brian Callahan and Rand too. I mean, they've been pretty open about their process and what they've done. Now, you don't have to say everything but you don't have to lie either. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so they said, we had some guys that we tried to go after, didn't get them. So now the money moves over here. We look back at guys. Now we can say all of a sudden we can come back on this guy. So there is a lot of back and forth on that, because you've got two things involved with this. When you draft them, they're yours. And the salaries are slotted. When you're going after in free agency, you're also negotiating not only with the player, you're negotiating with the agent. All right, you're negotiating with the agent, and you're negotiating with your cap guy.
Coach Mack hanging out with us here. All right, a lot of talk about cornerbacks, the guys who the Titans have signed. There's a guy out there that's an unbelievable story, Quantez Stiggers.
Yeah, the guy from Canada.
Yes. He's from Atlanta. He didn't play college football. He went to college to play football. His dad died. He moved back home. His mom called the fan-controlled football league, and he played a year there, got found by a Canadian scout, and he's in the draft this year. What an unbelievable story.
Yeah, Quantez Stiggers is his name. He's from the Toronto Argonauts.
Mm-hmm.
I've looked at him. 5'11", 203 pounds. Dude can run. And so he will be on draft boards. And, now what you're looking at is when you're looking at that, first of all, you're looking at the traits clearly that it's different up there in that league. You guys know that, but it's a bigger field. It's really harder. It's harder, for defensive backs up there because the field's wider. The field is wider, and then, of course, you got 3 downs, and we all know the rules with that stuff But Stiggers is an interesting guy. His name was around the combine quite a bit, guys.
Well, I also watch Canadian football, Coach. So anytime you just want to have a cup of coffee and discuss CFL, I'm your guy, Coach Mack, discussing all things football with us here on Blaine and Mickey. I love it.
Well, Coach, get your notebook ready. I'm gonna do a round robin here with your number one player at different positions that's coming out at the combine. Can you do that?
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we're gonna start with pass rusher. Who's the number one pass rusher? And you can, quantify it in defensive end to defensive tackle. You can do both, so it's 2 guys.
With Dallas Turner.
Dallas Turner is the outside guy. Who's the D tackle?
Dallas, the defensive tackle as a pass rusher. Let me get to my tackles because some of them is Jerjon Newton from Illinois.
Ooh,
Newton.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's a three technique. That's going to. I mean, and everybody makes a comparison to a shorter defensive tackle that's got quicks and has got suddenness to Aaron Donald. I was there when we drafted Aaron Donald. There's only one of those dudes, but this guy here is he can make some people miss in that cylinder.
How's he compared to that guy from Florida State? Isn't it Florida State? That
Yep,
D-tackle?
Verse.
Well, Jared Verse is more of an edge guy.
He's an end guy.
Yeah, Jared Verse is more of an edge guy. This guy, Jerjon Newton, is shorter and thicker.
Okay. All righty, round robin. What about their top 2 linebackers coming out?
Off-ball linebackers?
Yes. Kind of where the Titans still have
Edgerrin
somewhat
Cooper,
of a hole. Mm-hmm.
Edgerrin Cooper from Texas A&M, my number 1. Junior Colson from Michigan, my number 2. Those 2 guys to me stand out above them. Jeremiah Trotter is somewhere below those guys in my mind. He's below those guys at Clemson. The guy athletically that's very intriguing, but he's got injury issues in his past that just blew the combine away. And you can see him make a lot of plays in space. Down at North Carolina State is Peyton Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
And then the guy from North Carolina, Cedric Gray.
Mm-hmm. Caveat here, Junior Colson at Michigan is from Ravenwood High School.
I saw him play. I did a high school
Mm-hmm.
game for my TV 30 with Jonathan Hutton, and he was playing. He's a good-looking athlete.
Oh, yeah, he's a great athlete, great dude, too.
Is he a good kid?
Oh, yeah, good kid, yeah. Yep, no doubt.
Yeah, well, to me, he's a second off-ball linebacker. Of course, I quit making picks 8 years ago, so I'm not making any picks, but I like him.
One more question here, and I can't remember the kid's name, but he also went to Ravenwood with Colson, is the center. He's kind of played multiple positions, but mostly center at Duke. Graham, I want to say it's Burton.
Graham Barton?
Barton, yeah. I can remember him, yeah.
I like Graham Barton.
Mm-hmm. But he played tackle there, then he kind of moved to guard at Duke, and then now he settled in at center, but he played all 3 years. He was a starter, I think.
Yeah, I like him. I like him on the interior for the National Football League. But I had him. I know he played. I had him. He played offensive tackles, a lot. So you looked at him there. But I've got him as an OL in my book. I really like him. Like that player. I think he'll be a legitimate player on the inside in the National Football League.
What round do you think rounds maybe he go? Is it 3 to 4, 2 to 4? What do you think?
I think closer to 2.
Oh yeah, wow. And Colson too, by the way. Where do you think?
Yeah, maybe 2 or 3. So linebackers, behind the ball backers. There's not a first round pick there. There's not a first round pick. So then it depends on the way people's board is stacked as far as what they've got already on their squad and where they think they need to be. But to me, linebackers are going to be the third day is probably going to be a pretty good run on linebackers, of the off-the-ball linebackers. But those 2 to me that we just talked about, Cooper and Colson, stand out to me above the other ones.
Wow.
Coach Mack, just always fun to jump into everything with you, and appreciate Two Rivers Ford for making it happen every week. Thank you, sir.
Most trusted Ford dealership in the South. I'm glad you said I'm the most trusted something.
Yeah, well, we trust you, Coach. That's for sure. Most trusted on this show. Yeah, thank you, Coach.
On this show, for this segment at 2:30 on 2:30 Tuesday. Most trusted.
100%, Coach. We're going to put that in the tagline.
See you guys.
See you, Coach Mack. All right, Jordan is on the line and has been holding and wants to talk about a trade back scenario for the Titans. And I just want to tell you, I'm all ears about this. Trade back. Jordan, hold up. We'll get to you next. 615-737-1045 if you want to join Jordan.
Did you know Eurofix has a very different business philosophy? They staff all their locations with more staff than the average auto repair shop, just so they can be ready when you have an emergency that pops up out of nowhere. Or have you ever noticed how hard it is to get a right now appointment for a vehicle repair? Where some dealers can be more than 2 weeks out just to get a freaking appointment. But not Eurofix. Eurofix has been offering quality repairs that beat the dealer without the dealer pricing since 1999. Plus a 3-year nationwide warranty and a staff to fix your car right now. So if you are tired of waiting forever to get your car into the shop, then call Eurofix. Owner Aaron Stokes says we will never be too busy for our customers. We're here to take their pain away, and we mean right now. And Eurofix repairs all European vehicles. Eurofix says yes to speedy repair when others can't or won't. Family owned for 24 years. And all you have to do is just give them a call at 844-EUROFIX. That's right, 844-EUROFIX, or you can just visit them online at myeurofix.com. That's myeurofix.com. But I was telling Blaine, did you?
All right, Blaine and
Give it
Mickey.
away.
What Jordan's got, he's about to give it to you on the phone line, 615-737-1045. Jordan, you got a trade back scenario for the Titans?
Yes, sir, I sure do. I want to first start off by saying congratulations to the boys out in the Hill and Johnny Doinks. But with that being said, I do think that the Titans should be trading back with the Vikings to get pick 11 and 23. But my main question is, do you think we can still get a premier lineman at 11 and then maybe, a tight end at 23 or a defensive lineman to get that sack attack going on that line?
Great questions, Jordan. We got into this a little bit. I don't know. Last week, there was actually a proposed trade with the Vikings. You know me, I'm a note hoarder. I can tell you exactly what it was because I hoard notes like a crazy person.
It's with the Chargers, right? For 5.
Yeah,
Well-
they were going to trade up because a lot of people now are saying, man, that J.J. McCarthy, I don't know if that's true or not, is moving up boards. And so it could be 3 or 4 quarterbacks to go 1, 2, 3, 4.
I saw him at 2? People were
So it
saying
can't
it was
be
like
4.
the
They
number
trade with
2
Arizona.
quarterback going off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know if that's from Harbaugh with the Chargers now, talking about him a little bit. But you look at his numbers, Caleb Williams compared to J.J. McCarthy. It's going to blow your mind. Like, it's not even close as far as stats. So 2 totally different offenses where one offense relied on the run, the other offense relied on the pass more so. And so the numbers just not going to add up. But was he good in critical moments to throw the football that he had to step up? I mean, we saw him in the playoff game as well as championship. So, yeah, I would say he has that ilk. But the numbers, man, it's a big, like he threw for 22 touchdowns or something, like, I don't know, 6 picks, and where Caleb Williams was, I don't know, way up, like, what?
Just from 2023?
Yes.
Let's see. J.J. McCarthy had 2,900 yards, almost 3,000. He was 9 away from 3,000. And then he also had 22 touchdowns to 4 interceptions.
4 interceptions. And what was Caleb Williams? While you look that up, Mickey, you got your...
Oh, yeah.
we got time.
My note hoarding here.
All right. I got Caleb Williams real quick.
Oh, you hit that, then I'll hit note hoarding.
2023, he had 3,600 yards, 30 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions.
30 to 22.
Yeah, so he had 8 more touchdowns and 700 more yards.
With probably less attempts in a run-oriented offense.
Let's see. Caleb Williams had 388 attempts. J.J. McCarthy had 332.
50 different.
50 less attempts, yeah. The Raiders at 13 had inquired about trading up to pick 5, 6, or 7. This was in an article by The Athletic. I had asked this question, would you do it for a second rounder? Would you flip and then them give you a second rounder? The Raiders have number 44. So you'd go back to 13, and then you'd get an extra second-round pick, but you probably don't get Alt or Fashion New at 13. Get the guy from Atlanta maybe, which Chad Forbes is now saying. Can you find that tweet before we go bananas? We got a minute and a half. Our man Chad Forbes, who's out there always putting stuff out there, that the Titans would probably be comfortable trading back because they like Latham from Alabama as a tackle.
Oh, well,
I'm just telling you, that's what your man Forbes is saying. Then Dane Brugler actually put out a mock draft, and I like his stuff, with the Titans trading back to the Vikings at 11, and they would get a 4th-rounder this year and a 2nd-rounder next year, which they traded a 3rd for Sneed from next year. So this would give them 2 seconds, but no 3rd next year.
Watch this now. I'm going to ask this question because this is how you got to be thinking. This is the real question that happens right when it's going on. Are you going to trade from where you're at 7 from drafting an all-pro, you think in your mind, Alt, to back to get good players? See, that will be how the decision is made.
So this is what Chad Forbes said.
Yeah. So would you trade, stick and stay, all-pro, left tackle, or trade back to get multiple picks that are going to be good players but not Pro Bowl type player?
Unless Ah, man, that's tough. See, for
that's
me,
good. That makes it tougher.
For
Just
me-
say trade back is easy. Oh yeah, trade back, get 2 more picks. Yeah.
If I thought he
With
was a
all-
10-year starter at left tackle,
Right.
then I'd run up there with the card and draft him.
with all the additions they've had,
Left tackle. If it was another position, left tackle, yeah.
with all the additions they've had in this free agency so far, bolstering up the cornerback room, which I thought was going to be something they needed to address early in the draft. Now I don't necessarily think that as much. Wide receiver, they got Calvin Ridley. I think they're kind of good there. They don't really need to go first-round wide receiver right now. I think you go with the all-pro rather than trading back to get a couple. Now, if they were in the situation they were before free agency where you didn't have all these additions and all these positions of need, then you're just for depth purposes and Got you.
We had somebody, and I know the music's about to start playing. We had somebody in the F&M Bank chat a couple of weeks ago who said, take somebody at 7, maybe trade back in the second round and try to pick up a third that way. Trade back in the second round from 38.
But what are you giving up?
I don't know.
But
Don't trade the 7. Trade back in the second round. See what you can get there. We saw what we could get today, and we got all that we could. But it's time for us to go because 3HL is coming up next, and we'll see you tomorrow.
But in the meantime,
in between time.
Peace.